Hi everyone. In today's topic, I'm going to talk about how to unpivot data, pivot the data, and also group by. So as you can see here on this Excel file, I have a table called sales data table, which is about 50 rows of data. I haven't yet loaded this on Power Query, so let me first load this on the Power Query, and then I'll take you through how exactly the pivot, unpivot, and group by can be done on this particular data. So I select this data and this table, and under the data section, queries and connections, I choose this option from table range. So I create the table as my table has headers. So I retain this as it is because I want my table to be in with headers, and a range is also fine, the one what I selected. So, and all this looks good. So I just click on OK. So once you click on OK, then this particular table will be loaded into the Power Query editor. So in the Power Query editor, let me start editing this table. So first of all, I would change the name of the table to a meaningful name. So I give it as product, it is product sales data. Right? And this is my actual table, which is loaded from the Excel sheet. Right? So first of all, you can see here that there is an automatic step which is been applied. That is the changed type. So your source data is the one which has come from the current workbook, that is the present workbook which you're working on. And this is the table 1 as per what name is being given to the Power Query on the Excel file. So by default, the Power Query, when you load it into the Power Query editor, it gives the table in the form of a default name, in the form of table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, etc., etc. So that is what a default name is given. So you can change the name here in the Power Query editor, and then you can load it as the output. So after that, it has applied the change type. So now I would like to show you how to perform the unpivot of data. So basically, what is unpivoting? Unpivoting is nothing but, you can see here this columns: north, south, east, west. These are the different regions, and these are the products. Okay, basically this data is telling you how many sales, how many product items in the form of units has been sold in each of these regions. So you can see, first one, if I take headphones, this is a product which in the north region 15 units were sold, and in the south it is 173, in the east it is 114, and the west 42. Likewise, there are different types of products here and the sales given here. Now, I want to view this data in the form of rows. Here you can see these are all in the form of columns, correct? North, south, east, west. So I want to make this in the form of rows. So how do I do that? So I want only these columns to be coming in the form of rows, right? So for each of this product, I want to know what is the region, and what is a count. Okay, so how can I do that? So first of all, I select the product column, because I don't want any change in this. I want this column to be remaining as it is, right? So I choose the product column, and I go to the transform option here in the top left corner of the Power Query editor, and here you can come across this unpivot columns here, right? So in the unpivot columns, I have 3 options here. So unpivot columns, unpivot other columns, unpivot only selected columns. So these 3, what it does is, basically these are variants of unpivoting, right? So unpivot columns will just unpivot every columns. Unpivot other columns, in the sense whichever column is selected, it will leave this column as it is, and unselected columns will be unpivoted, right? And in the unpivot only selected options, whichever I'm going to select, it's going to unpivot only that particular columns, and it is not going to unpivot the other columns. So before going in depth about how it is going to do, let me first do the unpivot and show you. So I'm going to retain this product column as it is, and I'm going to choose unpivot other columns. So basically what it's doing is it's going to make this product column as it is, and then all these regions, north, south, east, west, all these columns will be unpivoted. So I go ahead and do the unpivot other columns. Now you can see this view where product column is as it is, and all my columns which are regions, they become the rows. And with respect to the value says what is for the region wise sales of each of this product. So until here, my data looks good. So this was my expectation, that I wanted all these columns which are in the form of columns, that is regions, should be displayed in the form of rows. Now everything has been displayed in the form of rows. In the attribute column and in the value column, the corresponding numbers or the values for each of this region across the product is displayed. Now I try to make it a little more user-friendly, readability-wise. So what I do here is that I do the group by. So before I talk more about group by, you can just look at this data. This data has got product, attribute column, and value column. This product column is also repeated in the other the data here is repeated. You can see here the headphones monitor, again there is repeated here, headphones, and there is again monitor here, headphones, printer. So this data is not looking in a properly arranged format. So what I do is that I do group by for this. So to have a group by, I'm going to group all the products into one type, like all my headphones into one type, all the monitors into one type, all the tablet into one type. So in that way, I will be able to get a consolidated values for each of my products. I'll show you how. So I'm going to select this product column, and I'm going to group by product columns, because I'm going to group all the types of products into different types, right? So headphone is one type, monitor is one type, tablet is one type, headphones is one type. So in that way. So I go ahead and do the group by. So when you see this group by option, you can see here I have the group by option with the product and the new column and the operation, what I want, how do I want to group the data, and this is unchecked if it is basic. So first of all, there are two types of group by. One is the basic group by and the advanced group by. So in the basic group by, it is just one column where you will be able to group, right? So here in this case, you can see by default, I'm getting product. Why? Because I have selected the product column here. Whichever column you're going to select, that particular column will become the default column, which will be reflected in the group by. So the new column for me will be the count column. So by default, it comes as count, and the operation will be count rows. So what I do here is that I don't want to give count. I give the sales as the new column name. And the different type of operations, what I can do on group by is that I can do sum of all the rows. I can calculate the average and get an average for this particular product, and median. Likewise, you have minimum, maximum, and count rows. This count rows will count the number of rows for each of this product, and count distinct rows will also let us to count distinct rows. That is, it will leave the duplicate rows and it will count only the distinct rows from this particular product. All rows will give you all the rows, right? So this is how the normal basic group by is done. But I don't want to be done. to be done on one column. So I go for advanced group by. So in the advanced group by, I can group by using different columns. First, Power Query is going to do the group by grouping based on product. And then I'm going to add another grouping that is called attribute. So where I have the regions data. So my expectation here is to group the products with respect to its regions as well. So this here you can see the new column name. I have already changed it to sales. So I leave it as it is. And this operation is all rows. Instead of all rows, I click on sum, and because I want to find out the sum of the sales for each of the product with respect to its regions. So I use the operation sum. Likewise, you can also think about what kind of operation you want to do on the data. In the same way, you can choose whatever it's your expected operation, whether it is average or median, minimum, max, count rows, etc. So on which column I want to do the summation, that column is what you need to specify. That will be on the values, because I have to calculate the sum in the values column, right? I can't calculate sum in the attribute because it is a character data type, right? And that doesn't make sense, right? So I'm going to calculate sum in the values column. You can, in the same way, you can add multiple aggregations, and you can give new column names, and you can do it. For example, I want to add another aggregation and get the count. So you can go ahead and do it. But right now, my expectation is to find out the sum of the sales, sum of the sales in terms of units in the value column. So I just verify these things and it looks good for me. And then I click on OK. Now you can see that my product is actually grouped in terms of regions, right? I changed this column name as regions, right? So my product, for each of the product, I have the respective sales of in terms of units. I just mentioned this as to make it clear. So I have the sales in terms of units. The total sales for headphones in North region is 458. So likewise, for each of my product, I have the respective sales in terms of units in the respective regions, right? So this is how I wanted the data to be shown. This is the way my product and regions are being displayed, right? So in case I don't want regions, right? I don't want the product with respect to regions. What I do is I do another group by, right? And this time it is just, I click on product here and then click on group by. Now it's just the basic, because I don't want advanced group by where I'm using multiple columns. No, that is not required. So I just give product, and my new column will be total sales in terms of units, and I'm going to calculate the sum. And my sum, again, you need to specify which column it's going to come from. It's the sales unit, right? Because that is the one which is having the sales, right? Calculate the sum and click on OK. So now you can see for each of the product, I'm seeing the total sales in terms of units. These are the numbers, right? So this will show me, irrespective of whatever region it is, the total sales where it is summed all the numbers, and I'm getting the final result, right? Now I just come to the applied steps here, and I can see that this is not named properly. So you can go ahead and rename it. I just rename this as product and region sales. And here for this group by, I rename this step as total product sales. Yep. So now my data looks good. And what I do is I go to close and load, and I have two options here. I click on close and load to. And as you can see, I have a small window called import data. And here I have an option to either create it as only a connection, or I can keep it as a table. So I don't want to keep it as a connection. I want to load this on the worksheet. So I go ahead and give new worksheet, right? And I'm not going to click and add this to the data model. So I'll just uncheck it and leave it as it is. And I click on OK. Now you can see that my product and the total sales is what is the expected output was, right? So this was about unpivoting the data from the table and grouping the data. I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe my videos. See you in the next video. Thank you.